we're out here. This is the field where the magic happens.
Benning Bites with Damon Benning. Benning Bites with Damon Benning.
That's another episode of Benning Bites. Appreciate you being a part of what we do. Pretty spirited show this morning. Got off the rails a little bit. If you're not easily offended or you're an equal opportunity offender, I suggest you go back and listen to that. Good times on a Friday. We needed it. And what's been a heavy 10, 12 days of just steady diet of trying to process information. And, of course, don't you forget this episode is brought to you by, if you will, Underdog Fantasy Sports. You're starting to see the commercials everywhere along networks. You can get it right here with me as well. Just use the promo code Benning, Benning. I don't even think you have to do all caps. I wouldn't capitalize me either. Just keep it lowercase. A lot like my maturity level, super duper lowercase. But anyway, Underdog Fantasy Sports, if you're really competitive like I am, you hear us talk about over-unders and higher and lowers and totals all the time. With Underdog Sports, it is team higher or lower. Everybody can do that. And it's multiple sports. That's what's awesome. That's what makes it my favorite. You can even do same game stuff too, which is like, I'll take that double down. But anyway, the show this morning, we talked a lot about, the transfer portal and understanding worth versus value. Sometimes we use those two things interchangeably, and they're really not. And I think sometimes players have to find that out the hard way. I think schools where players are leaving have to figure that out, like what's their worth versus what's their value. And what you hope is that you and you as coaches and administration can be on the same page as players. I think it minimizes portal movement, and I think it accentuates efficiency in grabbing guys out of the portal. Because remember, the portal is a two-way street. It giveth, and it can definitely taketh away. And it appears like it is going to be crowded. So make sure, folks, I just would advise you, just do your homework. I always joke about going to be a Berean and doing your own homework and ask questions. Do that. You can make decisions and have emotions without being emotional. We talk about that all the time. And I think that's the key, regardless of level, regardless of sport. Do that. Which brings me to this defensive coordinator hire, which I think, and we talked about it on the show quite a bit, This is a big deal. I don't want to be one of those guys that's super hyperbolic or, doesn't – I don't want to overdo it. But I just get the sense. I'm kind of looking at the direction, the offense, Coach Holgerson, Coach Shorts, what they have coming back, a young, up-and-coming offensive line, really good cohesiveness with Coach Raiola. That this defensive coordinator hire is going to be huge. And it's not an easy one. But I just have this feel like if he gets this right, that it could really help springboard Nebraska to where they want to be, because they're starting to get a lot of the other things right. And I get it. Folks are kind of panicking a little bit with the portal. Don't. It's part of the deal. It's very transactional in college football. And you want Nebraska – this is just my opinion. I think you want Nebraska to be a team that's doing meaningful things in December like this. There will be schools that want Nebraska's players. There will be other players that want to come to Nebraska. This isn't no news is not necessarily good news. Expect Nebraska to kind of be a player in December. I just think that's something that we may have to get accustomed to, and that's going to be okay. I think we have to kind of evolve with that and understand that it's getting transactional. And while you don't have to love it, it doesn't have to be the end of the world either. So kind of managing that marriage will be key. But having said that, I think this is an extremely difficult hire for Coach Rhule just because of his level of connection to defenses, to always playing good defense on teams that that he oversees. I think that relationship has to be right. And I think he wants to really give this some thoughtful consideration. I think he's got a ton of options, some sitting, some not sitting. And sometimes for him, I think getting out of his own head is good too, which is why I'm glad there wasn't a rush to, like, let's just say name Coach Butler or Coach Snow, both guys that I have a high regard for. I obviously love Coach Butler and the relationship that he's been able to build within our own household. But it would be easy for me to just say, oh, here, do that, because that would be good for, and then fill in the blank. But that's not the way that I'm thinking. I think doing what's easy isn't always what's right. And oftentimes it isn't. But I will tell you this. I would allow kind of this process to play out and be patient. Because one thing I can tell you, rest assured, I think this is a job that is highly, highly coveted. You will have sitting coaches inquire. You will have folks that want to come, that have been out of the game, inquire. There'll be no shortage of candidates. And that I believe to be a fact. Stay tuned and buckle up. However you get us, make sure you're a part of it. Apple, Google, Spotify, Twitch, Facebook, AM 590, ESPN Tri-Cities, and KFOR in Lincoln at 9 o'clock. If you're in Lincoln, we embrace you. Appreciate you being a part of another episode of Benning Bites.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.